Everyone, I'm Kathy Oracione Chakohi, and today I have Michele Tabaraki with me. Michele and I have been friends for quite a number of years now.
Maybe 12 years.
I was just trying to think about it this morning. I'm like, how long do I know Michele?
I think 12 years.
12 years, yeah. So Michele is a wonderful friend of mine, and she's also my neighbor. She's my dance teacher, and she owns a dance and workout studio right here in my hometown. And it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's nice that you didn't have to travel so far to get
Yes,
here.
I walked over, although it was a little cold today.
Yes. And I love having people over in person. It's such a different feel when you have somebody that you're sitting in proximity to rather than somebody on Zoom.
Absolutely.
It's always much
Absolutely.
nicer.
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to just go ahead and tell everybody about who you are, how you got to do what you do, and all that.
I'm going to try and make a very long story short. I was born in Tehran, Iran. I moved to Toronto, Canada when I was 7 with my mom and my sister. My father stayed back, and I basically had all of my years up until the time I got married in Canada. My father joined us 2 years later, but in that very short amount of time, the 2 years that my dad was not with us, my mom signed me up for every single lesson known to man. She signed me up for piano, but we had no piano. We had like one of those paper things. She signed me up for ballet, for jazz, ice skating, arts and crafts, so many different things just to keep me occupied and to get me to learn English, me and my sister. The dance was the one thing that stuck. And it was as if I had gotten the biggest gift in the world. When I was in Iran, I used to watch a TV show where this woman would teach kids how to do ballet. So basically you were watching a class and I would make myself a makeshift bar and makeshift ballet outfit and I would do ballet. I never thought that I would actually be able to do this in real life. So it was really like the biggest gift my mother ever gave me. From there, it just my love of dance just grew and grew. And it was always part of my identity, always part of what I loved about myself. And then I grew up and I became an adult and I had a regular job in an office. And
What kind of job was that? I didn't even know you ever had a job besides this.
I did. I worked with my father. I mean, I had a lot of other jobs. My career path after college, I worked with my father and I was his marketing and public relations person in his company, which is what gave me the background of what I do now. But the dancing was always in the background. Dancing was constantly something that I did. When I moved here and got married, I kind of dove into having kids. So there was no time or anything for career. And then when my son was 2 months old, I had the opportunity to sub for one of my instructors. And from there, that was it. That was 20 years ago.
Wow.
And then it grew into me buying my studio and making it into the career that I have right now.
So interesting. And is this the same studio that you used to dance in?
No. I used to teach, I want to say probably in about 10 to 15 different studios. And everything just kind of came together. I moved to Great Neck. There was the opportunity to buy this studio. I needed to expand. I didn't want to travel to do dance classes so much anymore. And I was kind of tired of working for people. So everything just worked out exactly the way it was supposed to work out. And here I am in my 12th year.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing all that.
That's a lot.
Yes, it's a lot. I remember the first time I ever stepped into your dance studio. I can't remember if it was on a holiday. You were having some kind of a master class and I came with a friend and we were like in that dance class and I fell in love. I was like, I have to come here all the time. And at that point, I was going into different studios. I had a gym membership. I still lived in Queens. And I was like, I don't care. I'm going to come here. And that's how it started for me. So you're saying it's been 12 years.
Yeah.
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 So
it was right at the beginning when you came in. I remember. And you came in all bright.
Bright?
Right. Most people, when they go into fitness classes, you see them in dark colors, except if it's a Zumba class. But still, I had a lot of people in dark colors because I guess people just have a comfort in that. But I remember you came in and you were like in bright clothes. And I was like, oh my God, who is that?
That's definitely very possible.
But 100%, 100%.
Yeah, I love color. So that makes sense. And I would say 3 years after that, I moved to Great Neck.
Yeah.
And then we became neighbors
Yes.
and friends, which is beautiful. Michelle, tell me a little bit about what your feelings and thoughts are about dance.
In the 20 years that I've been teaching dance, so I want to back up a little bit. People outside of my life, when they hear about what I do and all the things that go around it, they always say, it's a business, it's a business, it's a business. Um, it took me up until maybe a year ago to understand that what I do is not just a business. I know that there are certain decisions that have to be made in a business, but people coming and dancing in your space, there is something, it's a way of kind of releasing. It's like taking off a mask. I feel like I truly see women when I see them in my classes, and not just my classes. If I take a dance class and I see other people in other dance classes, it's not just if they come to my classes, but I feel like it's the one place that you can really, really release all your inhibitions. You can just let things go for that 1 hour that you're in that space. I feel like it's a very opening, heart opening exercise. And recent studies have shown that women keep going back to dance fitness classes more than they would go to other formats because there's something that releases in the air. There's something that happens when women are together. And this goes back, we've spoken about this before. This is not something that's a phenomenon that's happening today or in my studio. Dance is actually a way that women told stories to each other. So my favorite form of dance is Middle Eastern dance, or belly dance, as people call it in America. And the roots of belly dance are in women teaching each other about puberty, about childbirth, about sensuality, about sexuality. These are the things that we teach our daughters of how to be and how to exist in the world. And we feed off of each other. I know we've spoken about this a lot. I just kind of went off
No,
track.
that's okay. Yeah, we definitely have covered this a lot because we both feel the same way. So I also see how dance can actually be very liberating. It's releasing. I feel like physically, there's endorphins and serotonin that's being produced in someone's brain when they're dancing and they're in movement and they're in flow, which I find really helpful and amazing because we get to feel good
Yeah.
just by using our body.
Yeah.
Right? Not using a substance. We're not using any particular medicine or drug or anything like that. It's just through
It's a
movement.
high. It's
It's
definitely a
high.
high. When, not every class is the same. Tried to calculate how many classes I've taught in 20 years, thousands and thousands of classes. And just today, you happen to be in that class. I said to everyone, I didn't feel like I was teaching the class today. I actually felt like we were all moving in unison. I didn't feel like I needed to cue myself. I didn't feel like, are they going to like this? Are they going to hate this? Should I change the song? I felt like we all just kind of moved together in sync.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that because I was just listening to my favorite psychics on YouTube before this. And it brought me back to what you mentioned this morning about you not worrying about if someone's following or pleasing. Because what she was saying is that something shifted within us for the past week or so, where teachers no longer have to teach. All we have to do is just be. We just have to be in our power. To me, that's really nice because I feel like, just like you, sometimes I kind of have to be in my performance.
Right.
We're leading, we're teaching, we're demonstrating, we're expecting certain things from others. And it's beautiful to be in that space of all I have to do is just be. And I'm just going to model this beautifully
Right.
within myself. And whoever is aligned with it is going to pick it up and is going to come along.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that's what's happening within within our matrix.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And this is another thing we've spoken about a lot. I feel every single person that walks in through my door, whether I know them or don't know them, I feel them. It's not necessarily a good thing as an instructor because when you feel everybody's feelings, it could have a negative effect, but I can't help it. It's just there's something about people that walk into the space where you know that they are going to be moving with you. They're going, you're listening to this amazing music and you're doing these amazing moves and I feel their happiness, I feel their sadness, I feel their anger. And so often I'll go up to someone and I'll say something like, "Are you okay?" And
Yeah.
the tears just like start coming out. So it's very interesting. Never, ever, ever thought when I first started this, I thought, "Ooh, I can dance. Ooh, I can teach. Let me go and teach dance." I didn't think that it was going to become this like whirlwind of emotions that I'm going to feel on a daily basis.
Yeah, you definitely are very intuitive. So you're picking up on other women's energy and feelings and stored energy, as I call it, which we all have because we do store energy within our body, even when we try to be good or try to behave or try not to show or pretend like we're okay. And we put on a mask, we walk around with a mask. And that's what we have to do, being human. And yet, something happens in a dance class where you're actually letting go and you're getting into a flow and sometimes all of that emotion can bubble up,
Yes.
right? It's very interesting to me. I find that dancing is very much similar to doing other kinds of healing work. When I'm doing my ceremonies, if I'm doing cacao or breath work, usually when I have a bunch of women that are all sitting together and we're all kind of like tuning into the same energy, very similar intentions, something magical happens. Sometimes a portal opens, literally a portal opens to higher dimensions. And I've seen this happen time after time. And it's beautiful to watch because you can see that when the hearts are all in sync, we have so much power to actually get within ourselves, but also open up the energy for everybody else. And I also see this in a good dance practice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Absolutely. When I'm teaching, there's often all these other thoughts that are going through my head. I find that sometimes I'll get my best ideas of things that I'm going to do either in my business or my personal life while I'm teaching, and I cannot shut that off. And I wish I could like go and sit and write, what did I just think? What amazing thing came into my head? It doesn't always happen like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of things open up. Definitely a lot of things open up.
Me also, I find that when I'm in a flow, and sometimes you'll see me like even with my eyes closed, like I literally will have my eyes closed in the dance class, especially when I know the moves, and I get into that state of just like surrender and flow, and then things start to come up for me. Oh, you need to do this, or you
Right.
need to write a post about that, or the next podcast, or whatever it is, and it is a form of spiritual, I guess, practice. It is a form of spiritual practice, dancing.
100%. This is why dance is such an important part of all of our celebrations. I mean, we also happen to be Persians, so Persians love to dance. But as a child, I never felt like a celebration was complete until there was dancing. And I grew up in a community that was not predominantly Persian. And when I would go to a party and there wasn't dancing, I felt like there was something missing. So I love that about our culture. I love that no matter what, the music always comes on and we get in there and you see it. You see the dancing, how everybody's happiness for each other comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I try to really incorporate dance is in everything that I do. Almost all of my ceremonies will have opening dances where we're opening up the body before breath work. And then afterwards, if people are up to it, there will be some form of dance and movement. And sometimes it will be dancing in a circle. And sometimes it'll just be dancing within our own, just being by our own selves, just moving the body, even with the eyes closed.
I think that we've kind of moved away from that where we sit down in our chairs, we sit down in our cars, we sit down in our offices, and we forget that the body is supposed to move. There is a heartbeat, and that heartbeat is feeling. What happens the minute a song comes on, you start tapping, you start snapping. Like it is part of who we are. And we've kind of like gone away from that. But in every culture, dance is a huge part of all kinds of ceremonies, not just happy ceremonies, but all kinds of ceremonies. And I kind of feel like people are starting to get back into that and they're starting to kind of go back to like the basics and lose their inhibitions. Of course, there are exceptions, and I try
Yeah.
to tell everyone that it's just you don't have to be able to dance to go into a dance class. You could do whatever you want.
Yeah. You could just put on the music and move.
We're all dancers, all
Yeah.
of us.
Yes. Yeah. And what are your thoughts about women actually coming into their own bodies and feeling into themselves? Not just in terms of, okay, I have to do this because I have to get my cardio in and I have to feel good and I have to lose weight, but more like I need to kind of embody myself more through this practice, perhaps find my form of sensuality, because as women, we are sensual beings. We're not meant to be masculine. We're not meant to be doers. And we've lived in these societies for thousands of years where we were forced to become doers. And I see this a lot within the Jewish Orthodox community and some of the other communities that I work with. There's something wrong about being in our flow. There's something not right.
Well, this also, again, it goes back to when you dance, you are releasing inhibitions, you are releasing a mask. So sometimes, and maybe in some cultures and some religions, I know that it's, you're not allowed to dance in front of certain groups of people. And that probably has to do with the fact that it does show your true self. And I guess in our society, we're sometimes trying to shelter that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably one of the biggest takeaways I have from that.
Makes sense. And it would make sense that we were given certain rules and laws and, not to overstep and not to do things that weren't necessarily good for us. That definitely makes sense to me. And I also feel like in that process, we kind of lost a sense of our own sensuality, a sense of who
Our
we are as
femininity.
women, our femininity.
Yeah, 100%. Going back to Middle Eastern dance is definitely one of the oldest forms of dance. It was only in the last 60 or 70 years that it became a, a form of dance that people will actually go and learn. Like I said, this was something that was passed down from generation to generation. When I'm doing Middle Eastern dance, I feel better about myself. I don't know how to explain it. All the movements, the circles, the figure eights, these are all life, right? And all the things that are happening in women's bodies, it's all circles, figure eights, and undulations. And I really feel the best about myself when I am doing that style of dance. I love everything. I love salsa. I love hip hop. I love all of it. But I feel, I guess, strong when I'm doing Middle Eastern dance. A lot of it could have to do with the fact that the rhythms are just so close to my heart, and that those are the rhythms that make me feel at home. But I also think that there's something about it, about the movements that make you feel more feminine, make you feel more strong. Years ago, my sister took a Middle Eastern dance class with me, and she was like, I was watching you and I couldn't believe how much you were feeling yourself. Like you were, she's taken other classes with me and
Yeah.
she said, I really felt like you were in your element. And ever since she said that, I kind of watch myself when I'm teaching Middle Eastern dance and I see it. I see what she's talking about. I feel at ease. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, yeah. I see it too.
I don't think it's just me. And we have women in the Middle Eastern dance class that are from all different backgrounds. They're
Yeah.
not necessarily just Middle Eastern. And I feel like that's why they love it, because they kind of like fall into their strength, right? Like you just feel stronger somehow.
Yeah, because you're not pushing through. I
Yeah.
find that a lot of these styles of dances, you kind of have to push through. Like hip hop is a little pushy. It has a little bit of that masculine feel to it.
Yes. Which
Where
I
you have
love
to get
too,
you
by the
have to
way.
get things done. It's like it's
Right.
about let's get this step done. And it has that little like zest to it.
Right.
Whereas Middle Eastern is more about let's just move with the flow. Let's just open up the arms and the hips. And it's a different,
It's a different feeling.
yeah.
But incidentally, in hip hop, there is a lot of movements that we do in Middle Eastern dance. The undulations, the popping and locking, those all are also part of Middle Eastern
Yes.
dance. Hence, Middle Eastern dance was the beginning of so many different kinds of dances. Ballet, all of those things, they're all related.
Yes, makes sense. Okay, so something else that I wanted to bring up, which I have found really interesting lately,
Okay.
is the idea that we, you and I, as Persians speaking Farsi, what are your thoughts about the idea of how we use language to describe things and functions within our bodies? So, like for example, in the Farsi language, there's a lot of indications about certain feelings in the body. So you and I were talking about this the other day after class because you had a song on, you played a song, and you were talking about how everything is, I don't remember what the song was.
Aziza Delami.
As the time.
One of the ladies asked, what does that mean? And we were trying to explain to her. So we all came up with the same translation. The translation that we came up with was Aziza Delami, you are my love, you are my heart, except that del in Farsi means stomach. And just before we started this podcast, we were talking about how so many of our emotions are actually originated in the stomach. If your gut health is not good, usually you know that there is something happening within your mind.
Yes, there's a
because
psychological
right.
aspect of it to it.
So in the Persian language, tang means my stomach, literally
Tight.
means my stomach is tight, but it means that I miss you. It means anxiety, literally anxiety, but from the stomach.
Yeah.
Del hore, I don't know what that means.
That's a different form of
I just read a whole meme about this. It was actually, I wish I had it.
I think I sent it to you.
Was it you?
Yeah.
So interesting.
Very interesting.
And everything is based on that. Our language is so poetic. So many of, and again, maybe I'm saying this because it's, what's comfortable for me. Maybe, I mean, I do speak other languages too, and they are poetic as well. But the Farsi language puts things in a way that I don't think any other language would put words together like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the idea of somatization, keeping things within the body, whether it's anxiety or sadness or grief, and storing it in different parts of the body, right? That is something that I'm really passionate about because there's so much to say about trauma and how we store trauma within the body.
Yes.
So I just found it really interesting how this kind of goes along with the idea of dancing and becoming aware of what it is that I'm holding within my body.
Oftentimes, I truly believe back pain, neck pain, arm pain, like a lot of the pains that we have through our body are related to things that are happening in our life. And it took me until my more recent years to actually believe this because thank God, whenever there's something going on in my body, if I sit with it, if I take care of it, if I take care of myself, 90% of the time it goes away. My back pain, as soon as I have back pain, I know that there's something that I haven't dealt with. So I do believe that a lot of it is related and we have the power to fix all those things. You've read Louise Hay?
Yes.
You Can Heal Yourself. Love that book. And
it's also what we hold for other people. There's so much that we hold for others that we're not even aware of. So for holding a lot of space for someone, a family member, a client, in your case, a customer that is dealing with stuff, but they're not necessarily dealing with stuff. And they have a lot of stored emotions and traumas in their body. And yet you tune into that. It's possible that you can actually take it on.
Yeah.
We hold things energetically for others as well. And I kind of go through this every day at work where I'm sitting across people all day long, listening to their stories and their traumas and what they're experiencing. And when I come home, I really have to do my own work. Some days, it gets me.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling a
100%.
certain thing in my lower back, I have to sit with myself. What is this? Whose is it? What am I holding? And a lot of times it's not my own.
So I teach a lot of kids, and everyone's like, oh, it must be so much fun. It's so easy to teach kids. You just do whatever you want and they follow. Teaching the kids classes is more emotional and harder for me. I could teach 20 adult classes and not go through the feelings that I get with the 1 45-minute class I teach the kids. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they actually tell me all their emotions. They literally, they will walk in and they'll say, this happened, that happened, this is going on, that's going on. My mom said this, my uncle said that, my sister, I know everything. So I feel so much of these 20 kids that come into every class. And when I come home, I'm literally like in a coma, like comatose. I can't talk. And I'm not even physically exerting myself the way that I do in my adult classes. Yeah. In the adult classes, I'm like hanging off the ceiling. With the kids, there's a lot more stop and go, but I am much more exhausted after those classes because I feel every single thing.
Yeah. And
they
kids
don't
are
hide anything.
They don't, because they're externalizers.
Exactly.
We have two kinds of people on this
Yes.
planet, externalizers and internalizers.
Until they hit 10 years old.
Yeah. And then they are like,
then they
okay.
bring it back in.
Yeah.
That's like a whole different emotional level for me. But the little ones, they tell you everything, the good and the bad. I get a lot of good also from them.
That's good.
They're very cute. Very cute.
So, Michelle, what would you say is the main benefit of dance?
I can't say one thing, but I can say, number one, your emotional state elevates. The feelings of, for lack of a better word, camaraderie that you have with the people that you dance with. It's good for the brain. They have done many studies that people that dance have less instances of dementia. It elevates your mood. There's less depression. And it's also been proven that people who have Parkinson's, when they dance, their tremors stop momentarily. So this just kind of really proves the connections that are being made in our brain. And I don't know if you've ever left a class and just like for the rest of the day felt elated
all the time.
That feeling of elation. I'm not saying you don't get it with yoga and Pilates and strength classes. You definitely do, because whenever you move your body, your mood elevates. But there is just something about the music and the dance and putting the steps to the music that does something for us. So I do believe, and not just because I'm a dance instructor, not just because I have a studio, I really believe that dance is one of the best forms of exercise, especially for women.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And what about the brain studies show that when you learn a new movement, whether it's in dance or any other form of exercise, right? Your brain neurons are constantly wiring and firing together.
Yes.
And so when we learn something new, whether it's a new step or a new choreo or whatever that is, that there's definitely benefits because we're actually building new neurons in our brains, which tend to decline as we age.
Yes. 100%.
So then would you say then that dancing is an anti-aging practice?
100%. They have done studies on women also that have danced throughout their life and seen that their cognitive behaviors are different. You also have muscle memory. So let's say in your 70s or 80s, which unfortunately it happens a lot more as you age, you're about to fall. If you know how to catch yourself because you know where your body is, you're going to have a lot less injuries. It's also like doing Sudoku and all those other brain games because you've experienced in class some steps that go together that are difficult. That difficulty, learning that, once you learn that, you are definitely making connections in your brain and that muscle memory stays with you.
Yeah. And that goes even along the lines of, let's say, trying a new instructor sometimes.
100%.
Like sometimes when you're not there, you're not teaching, I get really upset and disappointed. I'm like, no, I like Michelle.
Love you.
I want Michelle. And then I walk in, and then you have here a brand new instructor. I don't know anything about her music. I've never taken her class. And here I am, within an hour, I'm learning so many different
Right.
movements, things that my brain has never actually put like together.
Yes. Yes.
And so I find myself like intrigued, but it's a learning
It
opportunity,
is. It
right? Even a
is.
new choreo,
And it's harder.
much
It's
harder.
much harder, but we have to do hard things. If we constantly do the same thing over and over and over again, forget about the boredom, but you're not really learning anything. It feels good. Sometimes when you know what's coming next, it feels good. But I also think that it's important to not know what's coming next. I have a problem with this, by the way. I often don't want to take other instructors' classes because I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know what to do. I don't know where my arm goes." So I've been forcing myself, I don't know if you've noticed, to try and take other instructors' classes
Yeah,
because every time I do that, there are things happening within my own body and my own brain, and it helps me become a better instructor.
sure. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just remembered my first ever Zumba dance. It was many, many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, when I had first started working out. And I remember stepping into a dance class, and it was a huge class. There were like 50, 60, maybe even more people
Wow.
in there. It was all women. I'm Persian. I know how to dance. I know how to move, but I had never done Zumba before. And one day I was at a gym where I had my membership and I trained at that gym. I was there literally almost every day. And I used to just watch people do Zumba, and I would be like, this is so much fun. I wish I could do this, right? And one day I found myself gutsy enough to join the class. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a disaster.
It's intimidating at
It was
first.
so intimidating for me because first of all, the moves weren't like what I had been used to. It
Right.
was an
It's
actual like
all
real
new.
Zumba class.
Yes.
And most people in that class knew what they were doing. They had taken the class before,
Right.
they were familiar with Zumba moves, and I had like no clue. So I stepped into this class and I was like, this is so bad. Get me out of here. I'm making a fool of myself. She's moving her arm to the right and I'm moving mine to the left. And I was so not coordinated. And what I did was I literally just talked myself into staying because the idea of leaving the class was also
Yes.
humiliating. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to leave now. I might as well just stick this around. So that was that. I left the class and I was like, now I had the choice to either go back and get better at it or say, I'm never doing this again. That was really awkward. Somehow I found myself doing it again and again and again. And after, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 classes, I was starting to get a hang of it.
Right.
I was, like, becoming okay with it, and I was okay with, like, okay, now I could be seen. Because in the beginning, I was, like, hiding. I was, like, in the back, like, hiding.
But
Like, "Don't look at me,
but
don't see
but
me."
I will tell you, most people don't notice. They don't care what you're doing.
Right.
Everyone is so focused on what they're doing that they don't have time to watch you.
Yeah.
And I used to feel like this also, by the way, in any of my dance classes. Um, it was very hard to go back to dance classes as an adult because I was away from it for so long. I had had kids. And one day my husband, he saw that every time I would go to the gym or I would go to a fitness class, I'd come home, I'd be like, ugh. And he said, well, you like dancing. Why don't you go and dance? Forget about taking exercise classes or going to the gym. So that's when I found belly dance again. I found ballet again. I found Zumba. And I had a really hard time with it because coming from a dance background, you want to be able to go into a dance class and be the best. And I
Mhm.
wasn't. And like you, I had to keep going and going and going and talk myself off the ledge and tell myself, she's not looking at me. She's not looking at me. She's not looking at me because everybody is in their own zone. They're doing their own thing. But yeah, I had similar experiences, especially in ballet. To go back to ballet as an adult,
That must be hard.
it was real because your body also doesn't do those
Sure.
things that it did as an 8-year-old, as a 9-year-old. To do it at the age of 30 was just odd, but
Makes sense.
persevere. I
I
persevere.
persevere. And that's what it takes. It takes perseverance.
Yes, yes.
Also, I find that for me, I learned to kind of laugh at myself because I was taking myself so seriously. I have this thing, I have this part of me that just wants to be perfect. Like I have to get this perfect and I have to do this perfect and I have to look perfect.
There's no such
And there's no such
there's no
thing. Of
such
course, there's none. Yet I kind of like had to learn to just laugh at myself.
Right.
So like if you're going to the right and I'm going to the left, I can either beat myself up for it and be like, "Ugh, I messed up again.
Yeah.
Or what's wrong with me today?" Or I could be like, that was funny. Okay, that was
Of
interesting,
course.
right?
But that's the beauty of doing dance as an adult. And that's the beauty of taking it in a fitness class. We are not going to try out for the Rockettes. We are not going to become these professional dancers on stage. We are literally there to make our life better. We are there to exercise, to move our bodies, and to become happy. It has nothing to do with anything else. And you see, I always tell people, whatever you do, as long as you keep moving, I don't care. I just want you to be happy.
Yeah. And there's definitely a lot of power in women dancing together in a group. There's power in women doing anything in a group, whether it's praying or dancing or breath work or just anything, even something silly.
Yeah.
Yes. When it comes to dancing, it's kind of like we're all sharing the same experience together, or we're all in our own individual space also at the same time.
And how beautiful is that?
It is
We're
beautiful.
so blessed to be able to do that because in so many I don't want to start a new topic, but in so many places in the world, women cannot dance. And I feel very, very, very blessed to be able to do this here with people and to have made a career out of it, to have made some amazing, amazing connections and friendships. I just love it. I just
Yeah.
love it. And it was my identity as a child. I lost it for a little bit, and I'm so happy that it is my identity now as a woman.
I'm so glad that you got to find it.
Yes.
Amazing. Okay. So, is there anything else you'd like to share before we end?
I guess the most important thing is for women to move. Again, as I get older, I'm noticing more and more that we're declining with fitness. I also do these lives about every Monday. I talk about a subject that I just want to kind of shed a little bit of light on. And this week's subject was putting limitations on yourself. And I want the women who are in my life, the women that I love, and any women here that are watching this or listening, just stop putting limitations on yourself. We all have something going on in our bodies. We all have something going on in our lives. And there's always an excuse to not move your body. And it doesn't have to be dance. It could be tennis. It could be walking. It could be yoga. It could be anything. The most important thing, I think, for women as we age, as we grow, is to keep moving and not lead a sedentary life. Because once you stop moving, what's the saying? If you don't use it, you lose
You
it.
lose it.
It literally,
Absolutely.
it literally
Yes.
happens.
And I think we watched this happen during COVID.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And yesterday when we had a snowstorm and we didn't move our bodies, right?
I was in a rut.
Absolutely.
I was like physically, mentally,
Absolutely,
emotionally,
because
spiritually.
we're-
Yeah.
Movement of any kind, that's the takeaway I want people to have. Movement of any kind is so important.
Yes. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you. It's a
giving so
pleasure.
much of yourself
Thank you. Love
to
you.
others and me.
It is my
And you've been
pleasure.
such a blessing in my life. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
feeling is mutual. Love you.
Love you.